And then we should be live. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to, or good day, wherever you may find yourself, and the sun in the sky on this Sunday of our time. I hope you're well, and we are going to be working with the Pleiadian collective today, and it seems I need to. First off, I'll extend a special thank you to Leash for making a surprise assist here, because Laura was supposed to moderate this one, and I haven't heard for her. So if you're watching this, Laura, I just hope you're well, and if I could compel you to just send me a line, so I know you're all right over there, I would be grateful, and hope to see you soon. And then I also want to thank all of the patrons who are kind enough to support me. So Tony, Veritas, and Crystal, and Wendy, and Suzanne, and Laurie, and Steve, and Carla, and Kevin, and Natalie, and Sophia, and Laura, and a special thank you to Leash, both for being a patron and for moderating today. And then also a very special thank you to Patrice for your recent generosity and your donation, which made me happy, and was of course also welcome. So thank you so much. And it seems I'm a little dry mouth, so I'll just have a sip of water. And you let me know if there's any trouble on the other end, Salish, and otherwise I'll call in the Pleiadian High Command. So we're doing some true bona fide alien channeling this evening. So we're going to check in with the whole Ascension project, and all questions you have otherwise are also welcome. So much love to you guys, and I hope you enjoy. Good evening, good day, good night, and good morning to you, people of Earth. I am happy to be in your presence. I come as a representative of the Pleiadian High Command, and I go by the name of Askalon. I am pleased to join you this day. I would say make your acquaintance, but you are already well known to us. We are a group of Pleiadian beings, certain beings still located in the physical, somewhere along the procedural line of the sixth dimension, observing you and regulating the energy grids as we give space to human beings to flower and unfold into what you were intended to be. That is the true spiritual creator beings, the unity and the bridge between matter and spirit and mind. This is a way of approaching the unity that is unfolding. In your process, you may sense that many upsets are taking place, but many other things are also healing. Many other things are being sewn together, stitched together, and now you are seeing if these stitches will hold. What solutions have you made that were perhaps a little haphazard or weren't carried out properly, and what solutions will carry you forward, will help you keep warm and sheltered, and help you protect yourself against these new developing energies. I bring these spells of protection and this energy upgrade that will take place and be transmitted to you throughout the evening, because there is also many energies, or let's say stirring influences, pouring into the planet right now. Many agendas of human beings to be directed into certain purposes are being negotiated on higher levels, and therefore we will like to assist you in clarifying the power you have in shaping your own path forward. Therefore, we lend you the influence, and we can say that we, since you are progressing nicely along this path, moving into a higher understanding of the both complexity and unity of your being. Therefore, blessings to you The undying love from the Pleiadian High Command I transmit to you human beings, and I am joyful to join you this day.
Yes, hello and greetings, Askalon. It's Sailesh here.
Pleasure to be with you, Salish. Thank you for communicating with me.
Okay, the first question here is from Sophia. It says, hi, Mads and Askalon. Thank you for asking. The other day, I overheard a channel message saying that COVID is an upgrade to people who survive it. And a friend of mine felt really offended by this. So I have the following question. What's the spiritual purpose of the pandemic and natural disasters where innocent lives are lost? Are individual souls responsible for being at the wrong time in the wrong place? And yes, sorry, and that's it. And we'll follow up a second one later on.
Yes, thank you, because this is indeed a pertinent question to your collective as a whole. It is a good opening to this evening because, well, why do innocent people die from these events that transpire outside of their control? Well, you could also say, why do some perish in earthquakes or famines? Well, why do some people experience accidents out of the blue that take them out of commission, so to speak? Well, you may notice, examining your question, that there is an assumption of an element of justice being tied to death. And this is not necessarily a helpful way of thinking about it. That is, people go when it is their time to go. You usually use this circular logic, this tautology, to deal with death because there is something absolute, something inexplicable in it. You don't necessarily determine whether or not you wish to die from this disease. Rather, your spirit determines whether or not it is done with having lessons, or whether or not this type of environment that it's experiencing in its experience down here, whether or not it is conducive for the lessons it needs to learn. And if it doesn't, it checks out, it puts itself out of commission. This is the spiritual perspective. This is indeed why you die when you die. But the question on why we can say this disease picks someone rather than someone else, well, this is the inexplicable element of fate. This is the uncertainty that you have to deal with as a part of the game. See, if you weren't invested in the game to the degree where you felt that death might take you at any time and it was outside of your control, you would be unable to play it with the stakes that, well, it requires for you to learn the lessons that you have set out to learn in a lifetime. So this is one aspect. We would then like to comment also on the question of the upgrade of the virus. And indeed, well, we do not necessarily register the controversy in this. That is, notice that any type of mutation or altercation, anything that you survive that doesn't put your organism in a worse state than it was when it, well, contracted that disease, it is actually something that constitutes a type of upgrade. Well, even rare or random mutations that do not have detrimental effects to the body and then turns up in later generations to serve later purposes or conditions, such as, for instance, the mutation that has turned up against the AIDS virus that has been around a long time before, but didn't become prevalent until it became useful. So there are certain upgrades already built into you, some randomly and some were built in purposefully by us and other beings in order to be activated at the necessary time. And indeed, well, this entire virus is a type of upgrade. The fever, indeed, that you often associate with ascension, this type of ascension experience is also offered to you in fever. And so many of the passing intense fevers in childhood, for instance, are these, we can say, violent upgrades of the spirit that take place more in the altered dream states of, well, feverish nightmares, those things that you seek to avoid, but that are often, we can say, necessary or put upon you by your higher self in order for you to expand. And so we sense this is progressing quite nicely. The death toll you may consider is fairly lower than, well, many other circumstances or negative events that you tend to ignore in the everyday. So try to also realize that there is a cycle of life here. And the reason that people need to die from this disease is also the reason that you need to digest your food in order to have room for more, to keep on living. That is, it would simply not be room for everybody on the planet if people didn't pass on at some point. And eternal existence is not something that you really want to envision for yourself in the present state. It is, well, quite hellish to some extent. And therefore, be also happy that everything is changing and that these changes, unfortunate or unpleasant as they may seem, are also offering opportunities to shift and grow on different levels as bodies and souls, as collectives and as spirits. Blessings to you for this question. We have been happy to illuminate you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. And the second part of her question reads, what's the energetic origin of the Reiki system?
This is a very good question. Although we could say the energetic origin of the Reiki system is the Reiki system itself. That is, the system is indeed quite a simple way to formulate procedures around the intuitive sense, what you may actually call not your sixth, but your seventh sense, the energetic sense, the sense that is lodged in the fifth dimension. This is where you discern people as energetic beings. And these rishis, these seers who developed this system, they were able to discern these energetic currents and then intuitively work out how to manipulate this, whether they were guided from beyond by higher benevolent beings or by their own higher selves. This is perhaps indifferent in this manner. That is, we would like to remind you that you have this power to activate these forces within yourself simply by performing these procedures. So go forward and enjoy the healing, dear one. Thank you.
Okay, the next one is from bear with me a second, sorry,
Oh, we have no rush. Everything is in perfect order and timing.
For some reason, I'm losing Mandy's questions. Okay, I'll come back after Kevin. Okay, we go for Kevin first. Kevin asks, are there any messages from my guides that would be appropriate to share at this time?
Yes. Well, we are happy to say that, well, for you at this time, you may sense that what is contacting you is the Galactic Confederacy. You have been unable to relinquish your fascination with first contact. We believe that the question that was posed before this question also related to whether or not Pleiadian races would establish contact with you in 2023. And so what the Galactic Confederation, what is sometimes known through this vessel as the Galactic Council of Light, they are extending an invitation for you to explore this theme of first contact more. You have stepped away from it, examined how that felt, and now you are being drawn back into it. And so, well, we would like to elaborate on the concept of first contact because the idea is also, well, who gets invited to the party? How big a party do you have to throw before you define it as open contact? Because indeed, we are already communicating with you through these channels. Indeed, we are already appearing both in the ethers, in your dreams, in the skies, and interacting with you. And indeed, more and more people are also, well, credibly claiming to have met us. And, well, we do make landings. But, well, when do you get your invitation is perhaps then the question. Well, your invitation is in the mail, dear friend. This is all that we want to reveal to you, because we want to create this point of attraction and excitement within you. We want you to nourish it, and we want for it to thrive. And so it is true that, well, open contact is increasing, but it has been so for some decades. And so wait for later in the decade to see, let's say, the final irrefutable signs of the presence of alien beings in your sky. Thank you. Blessings for this question, dear one. Oh, and I am just checking in to see if you are
sorry,
with me, guys. No worries at all.
We'll go to unmute. Before we go ahead, Mads, can you post the questions again, because I can't see Mandy's question.
You betcha. There, I will find it here. Mandy asks. Yes, there. Mandy's questions, and yes, also Carlos, and there are actually, thank you for sending in such beautiful questions, guys. I really think they're exciting and helpful. But if anybody in the Zoom room are getting impatient, sweet as you may be, we can also altercate a little. I hope you figure that out. But blessings to you. I will bring back our Pleiadian friends.
Okay.
Yes, we appreciate the element of practicality also connected to you operating your information technologies at this present stage of your development. And so, dear Salish, I would ask you, are there any other questions that you would pose for me? I believe there are.
Well, there's plenty there. Okay, let's go. Kevin, again. He says, it has been mentioned that there will be a Pleiadian race that will be the first to make contact with our Earth civilization, and it could begin as early as 2023. Could you speak more about this and how we, as individuals, can go out under the stars or venture into nature to allow this door to open?
Yes, it's a beautiful question, but let yourself be carried to your favorite places. This is essentially how you do it. You let the magnetism of your heart respond to whatever is calling you out there, because what you are seeking is seeking you. And so the path to this type of contact is a little different. Some of you may also discover that indeed it is beings of a different character or caliber that actually resonate more with you as you seek out these magnetic interchanges. And so going to your favorite part of the woods at twilight, for instance, you may find that a will-o'-the-wisp will visit you, or you may find that it is actually an alien energy body coming in to interact with you. The race of which you speak, well, it is part of our high command. We are a type of confederation. I represent another race that is, well, presents itself here as the Tau, that is a T, an A, and a U. But the race of which you speak, which has promised this first contact, they call themselves the Gini, the G-I-N-Y, or G-I-N-I. And, well, this race, they communicate a lot within frequency sound ranges. Therefore, it was thought appropriate that they will begin interacting with you, because they will have well, let's say, the least space to cross to begin to move into this type of direct audio vibrational communication that you call speech and sound, which is kind of interesting to us. We have things that resemble it, but it is rather distinct also for this planet in the way it plays out in your atmosphere. So have fun with this and go to where you are called, dear friends, and there will be responses waiting for you there. Blessings, gratitude, and love in all things.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, Mandy asks, what is our role in assisting others in awakening to the truth of who human beings are and what is occurring energetically on our planet? For example, I want to share my newly formed thoughts and perspectives with my Christian parents, not to change their beliefs, but to help them find peace and escape their fear. Is there an appropriate action? Do we have a duty?
Well, a duty, no, maybe a calling, but in this specific instance, that is not necessarily relating to you individually and your parents, but in the relationship between individuals and parents in general, you may find that this calling is somewhat obscured because much of your, let's say, spiritual or divine calling, the discovery of your divine nature and moving back into the alignment, the existence within this remembrance, well, this is actually built upon, we can say, the calling to unity with the parents, with the family unit, the idea of uniting with the divine mother, father in sublime reality is mirrored by your wish to achieve complete harmony, openness, and communication with your parental origins. But it is often exactly within these relationships that you find the limitations most prevalent. That is, there is a type of, let's say, superimposed imagery, what is sometimes described as the hermeneutic or interpretational cycle, that when you enter into other people, into relationships or conversation, interaction with them, you change them and they change you. Your perceptions of each other are constantly interacting and changing each other. And the most static perception of you, perhaps the most restrictive perception of you, is the one that your parents hold. So there are many, many lessons that you can derive by working with and against this, we can say, or defining yourself also by observing your parents and how their patterns play out. But you may sense that the fear that is ingrained in them that you have felt the need to escape, it is something that they, we can say on a spiritual level, have offered to carry to also set you free as a generational project. And they may have found systems, ideas that work for them in their present state and their present outlook. So what you do is you don't start with the ambition of changing your parents or reducing their fear. Instead, you just lead by example. That is, you are just work on being present in their presence with this type of, well, divine wholeness that you feel. And this you may then discover has a kind of rub-off effect, that they may get a little curious about what it is that you could offer them. And then you offer them some nuggets, some things that may assist them, but you don't necessarily have to say that this was given to me by a being that sits on a Pleiadian spaceship hovering somewhere above Saskatchewan. Well, I'm not at Saskatchewan in present. I'm actually closer to the body of water you call the Caspian Sea, but it is simply to illustrate how nutty this may seem to your Christian parents. And therefore you can take these messages of love and then you can wrap them in something that's more digestible to them, much as they were also feeding you with things that they thought that you may swallow and appreciate as a toddler. You may find that here, this is an arena where you have achieved a certain maturity, and you may have to, well, be very gentle with how much you offer them of this. But it is done out of love, and therefore explore this love, both its possibilities, promises, gifts, and also limitations. Blessings and love to you.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, now her second question is, my next question is regarding the recent discovery of, I'm sorry, I'm losing it here today. I've got my old laptop here. I'm very sorry there, folks.
We are extending our appreciation, also the appreciation that we discern from the collective of you stepping in and doing this. So thank you, dear Salish.
Okay, my next question is regarding the recent discovery of the dense pulsing light of perplexing astronomers, which is perplexing astronomers today. Is this a newly formed celestial body?
Yes, newly formed in your perspective. That is, in the temporal perspective, it has just appeared. But this was conceived of, or it has already been situated in the developmental progress. And the reason you are experiencing it now, and it is drawing it, we can say, your attention to it at this moment, is because its light codes are of a higher frequency. So they are feeding into, well, the general Aquarian activation that is underway. And you may sense that these pulsations are also of a quite subtle character, that if you were to meditate on them, you would find that they would awaken certain, let's say, Stargate memories. And here we are also anticipating an answer we will give to a later question. Well, therefore, blessings to you in exploring this starlight and letting it into your being.
Thank you. Next one is from Veritas. His first question is, in some circles on Gaia, the Antichrist energy is alleged to have come from the Pleiades. Is this true, and can you elaborate, please?
Yes. Well, we would say, as a general statement, interacting with you, dear beloved friend posing this question, that you may want to look into, let's say, the vibrational nuances of phenomenon. We could also phrase this as moving beyond good and evil. That is, of course, in the game of total reality, these oppositions, the Christ and the Antichrist, they are the consequence of each other. Human beings have, as it has been pointed out by other entities as well, a tendency to focus on the rewards and avoid the consequences. That is, you tend to think of, well, the drunkenness is the effect of the alcohol, and the hangover, not as the effect, but as some sort of unwanted attachment that you have to deal with. But the hangover is as much a part of the lesson as the drunken night before it. And this is indeed the idea that, well, these anti-Christian energies that you may discern are assembling on certain places, well, they are also an exploration or a crystallization, we could say, of certain dominance codes, of certain codes of radical ego, super inflated ego, these types of dark rewards that you may then receive from cultivating what you describe as an anti-Christian energy. But it is also cultivated exactly to be explored and set free, because you are moving into, let's say, a state where you are all Christ. And notice how malleable this energy, the Christ of which you speak, how malleable this is. That is, it has been conceived of very differently, received very differently in different ages. And now you are speaking also of the idea that it may not, he may not, as a being, have existed It is rather a type of construct that was brought forward to inspire and set people free. And what this is actually pointing to, your interpretation of this Christ phenomenon as something that was more of a collective construct, is speaking to the fact that the Christ energy within you, the awakened energy within you, is awakening in you collectively. And therefore, this energy, the Antichrist energy of super ego, we could say, that is an ego that is super powered, supercharged, and is carrying out its will without regards to, let's say, compassionate or loving instincts. This is something that will not be allowed for in the human collective as you move forward into the ascension process. And these efforts will begin to seem more and more in vain, slightly ridiculous, as you observe people trying to dominate you with low vibrations. Therefore, we assure you that, well, these things are playing out as they should. And even though there are conflicts and battles that you are also participating in, the light is in a position to maneuver its way around the darkness as it sees fit. Blessings and love to you, our dear human beings.
Thank you. And Veritas's next question is, greetings, Askalon. May the Most High bless you for connecting to this awakened, loving family. Are the Targetans on Gaia to free humanity from its negative reptilian cabal controllers before, during, or after the cataclysms?
We would like to remind you that no one is here to do anything for you. That is what all these species, positive and negative, are doing. What we are doing right now is we are assisting you in making this exploration of your innermost being. We are assisting you in exploring your possible potential, your opportunity to be something that, well, we have anticipated, we have set parameters for, but we don't exactly know where this will go. And that is, there is, however wonderful it may seem to be communicating with our energy, and as much as we love lending your assistance, you are moving into a stage of species maturity, and also individual maturity is required of you, where beings will not, in that sense, intervene and do anything for you. They will instead perhaps instruct you on how freeing yourself from these lower vibration reptilian energies. And that is working quite well. Notice, for instance, well, what is going on here tonight in this awakened family that we are joining. We are also grateful for this interaction. That is, that this solely consists of people who have chosen to interact with messages of a higher vibration than the messages that were actually being offered to them, let's say, more immediately and in a much higher degree than these subtle higher vibrations. So this is actually you moving out of this control and contributing to it. And if you can believe that the Targetans are instructing you in this, they are assisting you in this, they are also recalibrating your energy and letting you become beacons for this reconfiguration of yourselves and of other beings, of other human beings, then you are really moving close to what the Ascension Project is all about, because you are becoming at least as powerful as we are and looking into, well, the weird looking glass of the future. Human beings will, once they have left this planet far, far, far down this timeline, they will participate in some very, very, let's say, grand scale cosmic events. And this, well, it requires for you to move into your maturity as a species at this moment, to move into this potential that you are also set out to carry forward. We bless you, and we are grateful for your existence as humans in your human experience.
Thank you. Okay, we've got to Mandy next. Her first question, What is our role in assisting others in awakening to the truth of who human beings are and what is occurring energetically on our planet? For example, I'm very sorry, I've asked you these questions before.
Yes, but we do believe that it is actually framing the answer that we gave quite helpfully, because this is indeed, well, the same idea. The duty you essentially have is a duty to step into your own power, the Enlightenment Project, in all its manifestations.
My mistake. I have got a 15-year-old laptop here. I'm very sorry. It's Carla's question. Hi, Meds. Feel free to edit this if it's too much. I get carried. Okay. Portals and stargates and wormholes. Is there a difference between the portal and a stargate and a wormhole?
Yes, we could say portals are created more out of the individual energy body. Stargates are great energetic confluences between celestial bodies, and wormholes are indeed, we could say, interdimensional spaces. That is, as you have, for instance, discovered in some of your subatomic explorations, or as you have discovered in observing plasmatic states of matter, you will observe that within these wormholes, there is a type of deep collapse of the continuity of time-space taking place. And within this means that there is a type of non-localized time-space taking place, a space where, well, to construe this in terms that you may understand from your present human condition, and we do not mean to demean you in any way, but we are also aware that these are elements of matter that you are yet to explore. And so to explain this, we will say that, well, much as you have learned that you create your own reality as spirits, wormholes are a type of both magic matter philosopher's stone in that sense, that is potentially everything, but it resonates with certain factors that are ingrained within it through its interaction with intention. And therefore, it allows for you to be transported potentially anywhere within this universe where it is, well, currently resonating with. Stargates, on the other hand, constitute more, let's say, boundary passages, or we could even use the image of a checkpoint between different galaxies, regulating the communications taking place, like huge satellite confluences. And then portals are these spaces that will exist on your physical plane, and you may even create portals around yourself in your individual being by attaching significance, or well, creating certain geometric spectrums or certain, let's say, vibrational spaces that allow for you to connect into these embedded realities within the Stargate systems. And so the portals, you could say, are perhaps in many ways mirrors of the geometric codes within Stargates that bring forward this harmony, that order the information that's supposed to go into your experience at this moment. We hope this to some extent clarifies the difficulties in understanding this, but that is to say, monuments around you, also stuff on this planet, portals, stargates, either portals built down here to mirror something that is already present in the sky, or the thing that is already present in the sky, the galactic portal, and then wormholes, these magical spaces of higher dimensional creation.
Okay, beautiful. Just to let Mads know that Laura's back in the room and she'll be taking over, because I'm having some serious problems with my beautiful old laptop here. So it's Steve in the room, and then Suzanne, and then myself. Thank you for taking over. Thank you, Mads. Thank you, Askalon.
We express our deep gratitude to Salish for having also fought a battle with this old laptop. And then we also extend, well, both we were aware that she was well, but also the channel's gratitude that Laura is here with us and that she is well. Therefore, blessings to you as we carry on our love, Salish, and the rest of you.
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, greetings, namaste, Askalon. I would like to give thanks and ask for continued support, recalibrating the vibration to raise the frequency of the planet and ascension. And I'd like to ask for help for the highest, from the highest light and love of beings to work through my higher self and oversoul to continue working on my healing, cleansing me and raising my frequency and helping reclaim my fragments or energies and cleansing it through my oversoul to be returned to me. And anything you can speak on that would be great.
We thank you for that. You got it, our friend. That is to say, your prayer is in many ways granted and fulfilled, because what you offered us here was a prayer. And we would like to use this also as a beautiful illustration of the modality that you may seek to put yourself into when you feel a little, let's say, addled, frazzled, challenged by the incoming energies, these great stirrings, because prayer is essentially the modality of isolating your intention and allowing it to flow on this higher vibrational level where you trust in something that you cannot make out the outlines of. And so this is where you are going. It's in this trusting process. And we can extend, well, partially, we are working on activating your energy grid here. There is a sevenfold diadem surrounding your mind. You may actually sense that this is manifesting as pressure around your upper skull and neck, but it is indeed an influx that's trying to create a confluence point approximately in the center of your skull. And so to trust this will be very helpful for you, because what we also want to transmit is, well, the slight astonishment that this vessel who is reading and translating our energy experiences when he encounters you specifically in these sessions. That is, the visions that he is receiving is very much one of grid work taking place, of these healing chambers, and very particularly of, well, let's say, the more prominent members of the Galactic Alliance, such as ourselves or the Arcturians, for instance, working and upgrading your grid. And this may seem quite intrusive, but there is a love within it. There is slow, clear, ever-flowing wellspring within you. And you may want to work on focusing or feeling this around your solar plexus, that is in a space between your solar plexus or the skin covering it and your spine. There is this type of wellspring, this slight flowing emotion of something stirring and allowing that to fill your torso and then drain down into your legs, out through your toenails, collecting to the waters of the earth as it springs forward from this eternal wellspring within your willful center.
Thank you so much. That's great to hear. That gives me something to be excited about, and I'll be even more diligent to work on my energy.
Thank you. Our love and our blessings. You are doing your due diligence, so keep on keeping on, our friend.
Thank you. Namaste.
Greetings and love to you, Askalon. Our friend Suzanne would like to ask a question now.
And we extend our love to you as well, Laura. Such a pleasure to communicate and connect with you this evening.
Hello, Laura. Hi, Askalon, and greetings to Mads as well.
And a joy from our trifecta and our collective of galactic beings in being with you two this day, Suzanne.
I don't know why, but I was very excited to hear you were coming. I'm not 100% sure. My family, they're known as teachers as well. And I just wondered, is there a Pleiadian connection?
Well, you are quite correct in discerning this, but we can say your Pleiadian connection, though it has been cultivated through lifetimes, it's very much something that's prevalent in your current lifetime, that is very close to the exploration of the central theme of your soul. There is this, well, let's say, opening of the Stargate. And indeed, of all the Stargates, perhaps the ones in Orion and the ones in the Pleiades are the two most powerful ones. They are simply allowing you to connect to a far greater expression and level of yourself. And the reason you feel excited about this is because this, let's say, healing energy is beginning to accumulate within you. You may have felt a little weighed down, a little lethargic is perhaps understating it, but a sense of fatigue. And here there is this activation or excitement moving in. You are sensing also in the joy of teaching, the joy of the transmission of what is deeply known and deeply held as true within you. And this is only an activation we offer you because it is already known to you, our dear Pleiadian star child.
Thank you so much. That's a good confirmation. I had a quick question. Well, I don't know. Anyway, there's a spiritual leader, teacher, a young man named Matthias Stefano, who took a group of people to Egypt recently, maybe even right now, I'm not sure. I think his intention was to open a portal, possibly create or reopen a portal within the pyramids. Do you have any information on that?
Yes. Well, we would like to say, partially, we are aware of the work that this individual is doing, and he is very supported in it by many different beings, us also being among them. And so what he is doing here is essentially also that he is working a type of ancient magic. There is a connectivity, a very strong power that he is activating within the pyramids, or tapping into, we could rather say, that is again also aligned with the Orion belt and the guardians of these portals. And so the reason that the pyramids in Giza are so effective for this is that they have been used for this purpose for millennia on end. So with these new energies, you can essentially perform the same connection anywhere, but doing it through the pyramids will help assist many people who kind of need this stronger permission slip of the pyramids and these very explicit energies, because they have, we could say, been chiseled into the human mind. So passing to the Stargate into this elaboration, strengthening of the link between the wisdom that's coming in from this place and from the Andromeda galaxy, primarily through these stars, into the pyramids, and then disseminating it into a human collective. This is a very powerful permission slip, and this is why it works so effectively also in, we can say, piquing your curiosity.
Thank you.
And our gratitude to you too, dear one. Our love to you and to all.
Beautiful, thank you. From the YouTube, Jochin asks, hello, Alamaha to all. Could you help me to ground or root myself again? Thank you.
Yes, we can. But notice what we are doing here is simply that we are affirming your invitation. So simply the fact that you are inviting us, stating it here explicitly, and then receiving this confirmation, this is a verification then of the process that you intend to undertake. That is, you want to ground and connect. And so by doing this, we can then extend our help. We are happy to help. And then also seek your excitement within this. That is, how do you get excited about getting quiet, getting still, about connecting to what is more immovable and, well, less stirring? This is grounding. Get excited about getting still. And there you will find that, well, many quiet rewards await you in the stillness. Our love.
Much gratitude. And our friend Salish has a question.
Yes, hello, greetings, Askalon.
Greetings, Salish.
Okay, what I would like to know from your perspective of what's currently happening, especially in Canada now. It appears to me that it seems to be a catalyst to awaken the population of not just Canada, but throughout the whole world. And to take that power back in a sense, especially because as humanity not as a whole, but vast majority of humanity have surrendered their power over to the governments of their countries. So this current thing in Ottawa, can you comment on this, please, from your perspective?
Yes, but we can confirm also along the line of what we were informing you about the shifting energies and your movement into maturity as a species, that this is indeed let's say a symptom of human ascension, because it is these stirring energies. It's in many ways the conflict between, well, outer and inner authority that's playing out. And what you have done, seeing your societies as collective manifestations, is every time you put up a collective rule, or every time you put up an imposition, that is, you make a law, then you essentially also write off authority into a principled collective. That is, there's someone who punishes you for transgressing against the things that you don't feel you can be responsible for yourself. Well, in some situations, this is quite helpful. You may think, for instance, of traffic regulations. That is, much as you set up procedures in your everyday to, well, feed yourself, clothe yourself, bathe yourself, all these procedures, then there are also very sensible things to organize in the collective, where you say there are certain rules that if we follow these, then things run more smoothly for all of us. But this is not how you have grown to, let's say, appreciate authority. Instead, it has grown up to be this behemoth of, let's say, the distant father who sometimes, well, checks up on you, and then he sort of, well, hands you a list of what you need to improve. And if you don't, well, there'll be hell to pay. And this is very much what is disseminating into the populace, this attitude that you would actually like to reclaim inner authority by dismounting outer authority. And you may sense also the reason that is taking place in Canada is that there has been this drift, what is sometimes known also as the Occidental drift, this idea that from east to west, there moves this civilizing force that to an extent oppresses you. And so the free spirits, the freaks, so to speak, they need to seek further and further west until they end up in the wilderness of the northern wilderness of the Americas. And here, this, let's say, level of pioneer anarchism is sort of activated in this new struggle for, we can say, human emancipation and human self-reliance.
Okay, thank you. And just on a quick note, does my spirit or higher self have any messages for me in this current moment?
Yes, it is saying that, well, be patient with winter, that you may feel that there will be a handful of weeks where changes aren't really paying off, and then they will, to some extent, begin to flood in. And well, this goes for you particularly, but it is something that's a prevalent message that's coming through, that a lot of you are finding that you need to limit yourself and where you put your attention to some degree. And then you need to be patient and really believe in that the rewards of these changes, or this, we can say, self-imposed restriction against speaking of inner authority, will begin to pay off, not in years, but in months. That you will experience changes in this coming spring that will surprise you in how you live your life.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to our dear friend.
Wonderful. And I send my deepest gratitude to Salish. Thank you, thank you. And our friend Devante444 from YouTube asks, greetings, Mads and High Command. I've recently become interested in the miracles of laying on of hands. There are those who can touch someone and send them into an ecstatic state. What is happening when this phenomena takes place? Sending my love and blessings.
Love and blessings received, amplified, and returned. Thank you for posing this question, dear one. See, what happens is indeed what you have learned within your spiritual disciplines, and what you are cultivating a greater degree of mastery of, is that you can, by focusing your attention, create these types of, let's say, unbreakable spaces of healing vibration. And well, by focusing on this, by holding this vibration in your heart mind space, and then channeling it, transferring it through your hands, you actually impose this healing vibration on the person receiving it. And there needs to be, if not a conscious invitation from the being, then or the person receiving it, then at least a permission by their higher self given to receive this vibrational energy, as healing energy is not allowed to intrude on free will. This is one of the parameters that is set up for exploration to happen the way it is happening.
Thank you. And eCorp asks, why are we not allowed to go home when we want to? Nobody understands this pain better than us. Then should we not have the right to leave when it becomes unbearable?
Well, the question is rather, where would you go, dear one? So the idea being, which is actually also true in the higher realms, that no matter where you go, there you are. So the idea playing out here is that it would be wonderful to often escape the painful lessons. But as we are disciplining you this evening with this relentless reminder that you are seeking your own maturity, your own autonomy in a positive way, this also means that there are lessons you have to undergo. And so much as you do to your children when you send them to school, you don't let them quit when long division seems to just not be the thing that's really calling their excitement. Because within this, there is this realization that there are things that you need to push through. There are pains that have deep rewards that offer, let's say, deep skill, deep knowledge, and deep realization within them. And then also, we sense this is helpful to remind you of, and forgive us if the words are a little harsh, but it's not really about you. That is, as you move up the ascension ladder, you also begin to realize your connection to absolute divine reality. So wherever you are in your own experience, you are actually, by clearing out your own painful experiences and misalignments, helping to clear out this entire process. So the idea is, and this comes from us, this comes from the collectives, this even comes from the angels, none of us can really fully go home. None of us can unite, merge fully back into source until everything has been set right. And that's why, well, the angels are doing their bit in the heavens, and you are doing your bit down there, where you're also tending to your own little niche of the time space. And so the best thing you can do is, if you experience your life as a cell, then really sweep that cell, make it at least a comfortable place to be behind bars, make it at least a place where you can relax, because know also that the fact that you are here means that you are actually already going home. It's just that, well, much as if you have ever taken children on a ride, they seem to be very impatient about when do we get there. And this is also why so many of us in, let's say, the driver's seat, or who's also helping you navigate this process, that we constantly have to tell you that it'll be a while, get comfortable there in the back seat, because it's a long trip that we're all going on, but we're all in this together, and we are all walking home hand in hand, sharing these pains and experiences, telling these stories as we move into a remembrance of a place where there is no pain, there is no sense of disconnection. Our love and compassion to you, dear one. We know that it can be difficult for you.
Thank you so much. Sunnison and Autumn Rose send their love and greetings. And Chuck Miller asks, is there any message the Pleiadians have for me?
Yes. It speaks to beings in clay. It's an image almost of, not necessarily a golem, not a huge, say, a giant you have animated with dark forces, but rather the idea of you creating life, small figurines, gathering life force and arranging it into order. So we sense there's a type of creative impulse that's related to, well, the arrangement of a home decoration, workshops, ceramics that somehow wants to move into your life. And if you can explore this with joy, there is also something that, well, will open new vistas, and that where you will find a type of peace and quietude that you may also have been looking for. Our love to you.
Thank you. And I, Mark 1, asks, is the Canadian trucker convoy to Ottawa going to be effective and lead to other dominoes falling globally?
Yes. Well, it does. Well, of course, we can say from our perspective, it's the proverbial Mexican butterfly that flaps its wings and provokes a typhoon in the Pacific. That is, in the image of dominoes, you may sense that there is a very linear progression of events taking place. And what you are experiencing is rather it's these simultaneous activities of impulses. So this rebellious instinct, it is indeed this that's awakening, that's happening. And this will, we can say, act as an example. Thereby, you could say there is a direct influence, but we would like for you to understand that it's arranged within this awakening of human collective consciousness that a lot of these simultaneous, or these impulses, they present themselves simultaneously and are then strengthened and awakened and expressed in different spaces. So it is a yes, but there is also it's again this sense of autonomy. So it's not the idea that this event is giving, well, allowing people or taking control from them. It's rather that it's demonstrating that they can actually influence the world by taking control and creating, well, civil disobedience, for instance.
Thank you. And Kai Metatron sends greetings. Says, greetings, dear High Command. First of all, welcome to our beautiful Earth planet. And their question is, I wanted to ask, for as long as I knew myself, I always felt that my home is somewhere else out of this planet. And 13 years ago, I had a huge outbreak, depression. I wanted to go home, but I didn't know where the home is. Can you please tell me which planet did I come from? Much love to you.
Yes. Well, as you are all also discovering, there are many lifetimes where you have lived in many different star systems. And so different lifetimes are active in different spaces. We can, for instance, say that there is a star, or there's a planet related to the star of Merope that we sense that is active within you. And you may contemplate the starlight, because this will activate some of these remembrances, much as if you imagine that you were living on another planet and then were observing the sunlight from that point. There might be this strange sense of recollection or familiarity with the place, because notice also the tension in your position. It truly is a very beautiful planet. We would like to affirm that. It's a wonderful thing that you say it and bring it into attention. This planet Earth, this great mother, it is a gem and a jewel that you inhabit. And here there are so many wonderful things to behold. And that's also to remind others who may feel this longing to go home, that you wouldn't be here if there weren't things that you were still interested in. And so the depression is actually a type of activation code. It may appear simply as an adverse reaction to oppressive elemental factors. That is, if you are, for instance, working, as has been the case and is still the case for some people, if you are working, let's say, 16 hours at an assembly line, and you don't know any of your coworkers and you never get to see your family, then perhaps being suicidal or depressive is not an unusual reaction to that state. It would rather be, well, let's say not impossible, but quite strange if you felt very, very blissful in a situation that seemed to offer no value to you. But in your situation, you are actually also in a space where this depression is an activation of your memory codes from these higher existences. That is, in your situation and in the starseeds that are assembled here, these depressive crises, these ennui, spleen, Weltschmerz, there are different terms for feeling this sense of alienation within the world, where it's somehow painful and you want to escape it. And this is often what brings you into the remembrance then of your spiritual realities, of the work that you actually set out to do on a higher level. And there you begin, as you begin to align with this, it is not that the pain of being somebody, being in the world disappears, but it gains a sense of purpose, of meaning, and also a transitory quality where you can rely on the fact that it will shift, and it is shifting into something that's constantly offering you development. So the depression is a necessary type of disconnection. And it is sometimes said also simply within the field of self-development that depression is a cry from your soul to give yourself a break. And it's indeed in this break, it's indeed in this effect where you step out of your life that you actually get to, well, remember, align, and reevaluate, and then move in to the world with, well, both an awareness of your fleeting time here, but also of the purpose that your soul is carrying forward. Because as soon as you are engaged in your soul's purpose, then depression is not a constant factor. You may experience ups and downs, you may experience despondency and maybe even suicidal ideation, but this deep feeling of being somehow completely abandoned by yourself, by love, by the world, by having no positive things that are somehow attracting you, this dissipates greatly. And here you are on this path, so keep walking down this path and align with the light of the Pleiades as we transmit also this 5-pointed tone code. We look forward to connecting more with you, dear one. Blessings and love.
Thank you so much. And Angel Wings says, do you reach out to other starseed races also? I'm a Aeon Seraphim Angel Starseed. Do you know information on my Aeon upgrade infused with my soul? I feel it's starting to wake up within.
Yes, it would be helpful for you to tap into these informational codes, that is, track the sense of awakening, and know that this will reveal mysteries and begin to, let's say, dissipate some of these structures. Well, what we are sometimes a little wary of informing you too much about is also that there are, of course, levels to reality that you can't necessarily comprehend. And therefore, you are also, well, climbing this ladder where the information accessible to you, the shape and the way in which you perceive and order it, is constantly breaking down and moving into a higher level of order. And so this is why you're able to communicate with species as us at this point in time. Whereas, for instance, 1500 years ago, this would have been difficult, but there were other beings such as angels, for instance, still in communication with some of your being. So try to move into the vibration hiding in the double helix and try to drink from the chalice of your heart. These are the codes that we are being asked to transmit to you in order for you to discover this potential. Blessed and loved you are in this endeavor, and have fun exploring.
Thank you. And Zinzulan asks, how to visualize and actually see something, or feel or hear or smell something even?
Well, it's a good question, isn't it? Because it speaks to how you actually verify your information. That is, you feel if something is tangible, or you can smell it, or you can hear it, then it has a level of reality that's unverifiable or undeniable. But what you are also learning is that you are quite subtle at picking up energies. You are far more subtle in reading these deep codes of meaning that are embedded within the created universe than any of the other beings that you know of on this planet. And so as you learn to do this, you may sense that, well, you actually move into a space where these verifications these more dense experiences of what is going on is less required for you to trust the truth of what you are experiencing. And at the same time, they actually offer themselves because they aren't impeded by, let's say, your analysis of the situation. Is this the right sign? Is this the wrong sign? Am I deceiving myself here, or am I receiving something? So we can, for instance, say in the mode of perception that's immediate to the body that's reading and translating our energy now, it is not as though, well, the visuals that is appearing on his inner screen are quite like, for instance, memories or dreams or recollections or fantasies. They rather have a quality of higher vision. That is this type of, let's say, layer of construed meaning that can be unwrapped, but that presents itself in a type of dense hyperdimensional code. To him, it is mostly visual. That is, it's unwrapped by the visual senses, but it has a quality of something that's actually, we can say, supersensory. So rather, if you really want to move into receiving these messages, then rather than trying to get them to be translated into 3D reality, so to speak, into dense sensory experience, try to move up into these, let's say, thinner or more effervescent layers of experience and really begin trusting your exploration in this. And in your case, astral traveling guided by angels would be very helpful for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And Veritas asks, Dear Askalon, humanoids have been programmed to fear our celestial friends. Can you assure the benevolent, loving members of this group that when the time comes for face-to-face physical ET contact, your approach will be one that puts the individual in a rested and relaxed state and allows us to feel we have nothing to fear from the experience, but everything to gain, Adonai?
Yes, thank you also for expressing this intention. It has also been our experience that, well, certain human beings tend to freak out a little with the presence of aliens. And we can assure you, and this is also returning to the theme of first contact, that is why we are quite, let's say, mellow, careful in cultivating also this expansion of your sense of autonomy, of your realization of your own place in this and your own power in this, because this is actually how we can cultivate this connection. As long as you are feeling that, well, there are far more powerful entities that may or may not have very, very malevolent intentions with your species that could descend from the sky anytime, we can't really make this mass contact happen. And so what we are doing instead is that we are, well, along with many of our compatriots, we are massaging or molding open the modes of perception and understanding in your species. And so you have gradually opened to this, and the first exchanges will be loving.
That is so wonderful to hear. Thank you. And I have a question that maybe by its nature is a non-starter, but is the understanding that there are mystery schools within the Pleiades as well as Sirius? Is that accurate?
Yes. We could say, yes.
Please go ahead.
Oh, we would just like to elaborate that, well, you have created these mystery schools and you are actually yourselves and indeed, for instance, institutions such as the universities, or the idea of the academy was the idea that you could concentrate knowledge, insight, and then certain pupils, when they were ready, could be trained in this, partially expanding on the insights and partially transferring the tradition and the insights to be kept renewed and transferred further by pupils and coming generations. So indeed, you have cultivated this also in your educational systems, but you are in a place where you find that there is too great a separation, that you don't necessarily say, we are perhaps being facetious here, but that if you take a course in hotel motel management, that you are somehow also training in a mystery school. But this actually arises from the tradition that there are certain secrets to the trade that you need to go into a school to learn. So our mystery schools are more, let's say, integrated disciplines of different types of knowledge. So we don't, for instance, have a straight separation between your sciences of physics and magic, such as you didn't have in the 1500s, for instance.
Are these places visited only by the ascended masters? Or can you tell us more about how all of that works?
Yes, because this was, we could say, perhaps the second leg to the explanation that we would also like to extend our invitation to, well, you personally, dear Laura, and to all of you who may resonate with going to these places. And that is, well, seeing as there is a multitude of places on this planet you could visit, the same, of course, also goes for these collectives. But your astral bodies, they are indeed your ascended masters. So you are also an ascended master. Everyone is an ascended master, but the ascended master is someone who has connected their physical awareness and their mental consciousness with their astral bodies. So these are integrated, but you can still go here in dreams and you can still retrieve a lot of energetic lessons. You will actually receive the full energetic lessons. It will rather be that it will be harder for you to integrate it fully into, let's say, your time-space existence, but you can still go there. And there you simply go by, well, it's almost, we believe it may be Mary Poppins that clicks her boots, but it's this idea that when you sort of wish upon a star, literally, there will be a type of invitation extended to you. And it, of course, requires, well, some skill in lucid dreaming or astral communication, or feeling comfortable with receiving these messages from your guides and who you invite in. But it is something that you are very welcome to participate in, and that we would really like for more of you to go to if you would like to do so yourselves.
That's very beautiful. And is there a particular practice, I guess for myself specifically, that would assist?
Yes, we can call this practice unwrapping the starlight. And it has to do with you, well, you have discovered, let's say, as a preliminary stage of your apprenticeship or your movement towards mastery, that you have actually a very strong communication with universal cosmic source. And you are also able to transfer this by laying hands, for instance, or by conveying tone, by transmitting healing. But you are learning then you will learn, or invited to learn, take the course in unwrapping the starlight. That is, let's say, discerning the more minute frequential differences in this starlight. And this means, for instance, in your case, that if you are then able to discern that a person may have problems relating to a specific organ, let's take the kidneys, for instance, you may feel that there is a vibration here that you can discern. You will grow increasingly skilled in seeing that, well, the kidney has a vibrational quality, both universally, but also within the individual. And within this, by discerning this universal quality, you will actually also discern, let's say, the remedy prescribed by its melody. So much as you can when you experience something positive, envision its negative opposite, you can actually do the same with diseases. And this then happens by you tapping into these starlight frequencies and condensing them and transferring them.
Beautiful. That's the shifting the energetic grids, yes?
Yes.
My love, thank you so much. And,
Our love to you too, dear one.
and Steve has another question for you.
Greetings again. So I had a dream where I opened the door and there was a tall elderly woman who seemed to be looking into my situation in my body, which has been heavily infested. Was this a Pleiadian being that was checking on me? And would it be beneficial for me to focus on the image of the dream or to just let things connect naturally?
It would be very helpful for you to focus on the image of the dream and the sensation that this woman brought to you. We sense it was a grandmotherly energy. So rather than, well, coming from, let's say, your galactic bodies, this was actually an energy that was inviting you to ground into the past, your genetic history, your ancestry, and, well, some of these places that have been traversed by your genetic line. We sense that this woman is connected to a place, yes, but approximately a place. There is a name to this town. It escapes or eludes the mind of that is translating us at this moment. Carcassonne, we believe it is. It is in southern France. And here you may sense that she was related to what you know as the Cathar faith. So there is both genetic ancestry, that there is a connection here, that she is a foremother of yours. But it's also the fact that you may sense that, well, what's going on, this infestation of which you feel and that you are experiencing, has to do with your soul having participated in, let's say, the Cathar experiment, having left as this, your environment became too hostile or attempted to eradicate you, and having now returned to the planet to reawaken these energies. So you may sense that there is also a mendicant quality to you that you would want to explore, that it is by sharing some of these energies that are pouring forth and almost pouring over within your vessel that you will bring this forward and allow for this grandmotherly energy to also offer an healing embrace.
That's so interesting. Thank you so much for positive message.
We are very grateful to be able to transmit it. And we sense, if you look into this, the story of, we believe, this town Carcassonne, but also the story of the Cathars and the Albigensian Crusades, there might be rewards and remembrances and also interesting lines of exploration for you to look into.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Our love.
Thank you. And Jim from YouTube says, hi, may that High Command say hi to all of my close friends and loved ones of past lives from the Pleiades that I am unable to remember.
You got it, our friend Jim. They're saying hi right back to you. Thank you for this love and this invitation to connection. This is strengthening the love in the universe in total.
Thank you. And Joe Board offers blessings, YouTube family. In his most high and infinite name, we invite you to, oh, this is very nice. Invite you to donate to this channel or join as Patreons in any event. Thank you for connecting.
Yes. And we are also transmitting the gratitude of our friend here, translating us, as we are aware that, well, these monetary elements and material concerns also take up some part of human experience. We can indeed also comment on this by saying, as you are also examining political awakenings and collective changes this evening, that the monetary medium is also being redefined. And you have already seen the beginnings of this in the beginning of this millennium, that it becomes more as a type of a regulation of a scarce resource. It becomes truly a medium of exchange. And this, well, requires for you to also reappraise and reevaluate your system of, or let's say your appraisals of abundance. That is, you are learning that you are all abundant, and that, well, this abundance is actually a necessary mind state to relinquish the survival instinct. And so relinquishing the survival instinct, you get the opportunity to move into the thriving garden of human cultivation. Our love to you and our gratitude, both from our friend here and from everyone to everyone. What feelings cannot be cultivated by matching itself in inner and outer reality.
I love it. And Jennifer Cabral says, may I ask guidance to dislodge the painful self-realizations so I am locating within my beings? May this question help us all to heal.
You may certainly ask for this. You may ask for much more, and it shall be given. And this is also the encouragement that because you are indeed abundant creators, you can ask for much of reality, and your cup will be filled, so to speak. That is, there is again, ever flowing, ever pouring source of healing being offered to you. And to you, dear one, we sense that the more you can allow for these pains to be surrendered to the river and to be carried downstream and to be cleansed into the oceans, where you are no longer responsible for the flow of these things. You are no longer the one who has to latch onto them to make sure they leave you in a proper way, but rather you surrender them to the great and vast oceans of time, realizing also that even though your temporary existence, that is the fact that you are mortal beings, can seem threatening, it is also a great release when dealing, for instance, with painful issues of the past. No one indeed exists in the past in this moment. No one will ever exist in the past in this moment. And all things that you remember, that you carry, they have already passed, ceased, and have been surrendered to the waters of time. Therefore, allow for these waters to also cleanse and purify you. Our love.
Much gratitude. And our friend Suzanne has another question.
Thank you. I had a dream also recently where I encountered I guess, beings from another planet, and I was invited in, and I was quite afraid, but I said, well, you know, I've been hoping for this for so long. And so I went in, and for some reason, I'm not sure why, but I felt my mother also. But then there were also 3 females when I got into their space. And I just wondered if you could comment on that. It was really great, but I still can't quite put it together.
No, it's a beautiful vision that you share. And notice also that within these deep communications that stick with you and that often speak this deep archetypal emotional image of, for instance, the connection to the mother, these are things that your soul are truly transferring to you. These are not the trivial dreams that sometimes pass, well, through your inner screen in nighttime. Instead, the meaning of this dream was for you that you were merging into, let's say, a trinity of your incarnate being. That is, these 3 women, these are indeed, we could call them girl and mother and grandmother. We could of course use the word crone, but it has a very negative connotation. And it is rather, for instance, in the sense of, well, what is called Edda in the Old Norse, the grandmotherly preserver of tradition. And well, both this wise old woman and the young naive girl, they collapse into the role of the mother, which is the mature woman who is situated in herself and by that is tending to the world. So this was actually, we can say, the self-location that was taking place within your being and offered to you in the dream. And this was being facilitated by your invitation into this unity, this mystery school. But again, sticking to this imagery of maturity, what you may experience and what you have probably all experienced is that there is something, well, not too pleasant, quite intimidating about the first day of school. And what often happens is that you have graduated to a degree where you became the biggest fish in a smaller pond, and then you graduated from that and you get to start over in a big pond as a small fish. And that's very much the intimidating aspect. But you also know from, well, having undertaken these projects, that it's usually very, very rewarding to carry on with this learning process and to learn to grow bigger within that bigger pond.
Thank you. Very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Our love, our blessings.
And we have one last question from the YouTube. Yana asks, hi, I feel irritation at the bottom of my spine and tension in my legs. Is this to do with past lives? Thank you.
Well, yes, in the sense that, well, the irritation that you feel is a result of higher flows of energy pushing up against blocks that you have accumulated in past lives. And many of these blocks have to do with a call to sacrifice, a feeling that you had to suppress yourself, a feeling of having to hide away. And so what you may often experience is actually that, well, there's something almost obscene, provocative in the full displacing of the hips, of really opening this space around the sacrum. And for instance, you have, well, in the aversion towards manspreading, there is this pattern of feeling the slight intimidation of the open pelvis in the human physiognomy. And at the same time, this is perhaps what you need to cultivate in your physical practice. So really forcing yourself to, and you may want to do this in private, as it may provoke people to do these motions, but really forcing your pelvis to be splayed open, to allow your legs to flap out to the sides, to widen, in, let's say, the bottom part of your body in its entirety, because the irritation you feel in your legs is also connected to your pelvic area and how it attaches to the sacrum. So work on this and really allow for all, we can almost say, forceful openness for you to really take up space and ground yourself in there. And this will perhaps, we sense, also bring forward some anger, because the irritation you are feeling is also a residue of the anger that's sort of being suppressed down there. So perhaps you may also want to, well, either scream into a pillow or do it in a room where you won't disturb your neighbors, or go to a natural area where you can do it, but scream a little, it will be good for you.
That's always a good outlet. Our friend Mandy says, I just want to send gratitude to the higher energies for the healing I have received lately. And card 12. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, we would just say that the gratitude is received and it matches this intention. That is, the energies you receive matches the gratitude you offer here. It does accumulate. Our blessings, our love.
And card 1212 says, can you help me with the loneliness I'm feeling? Why am I feeling such separation lately? Why? Message to help me with this, please.
Yes. Well, this is a general theme, and we would therefore also like to address it in general terms, because what you may sense is that you are indeed not alone in feeling lonely, that it is a very prevalent feeling. And so this, our friend here who is voicing us this day, he was earlier in the day working with the deity you know as Eros. And this force was pointing to the fact that, well, even though, let's say, human partnership is such a common goal, it's such a common ambition for human beings to have, you are very, very exquisite, if not to say picky, also in what kind of partners you would like to share your life with. So it's a very, even though it's a very common ambition or project to undertake, it's very difficult to sort of, let's say, find a realization or a way to carry forward this project that really fits all your individual boxes. So that's to say, why then do you have this type of pickiness or exquisiteness? Well, you do so because you also recognize that you have individual qualities. You have things that you want to honor within yourself. You have certain things that you wouldn't like in your life, certain things you prefer. And loneliness actually helps you define this in a very clear way, not only in romantic partnerships, but in reality in general. You really get a very clear sense of what you feel is lacking and what you feel has been too present in your life. And what happens on the spiritual path, why so many of you feel lonely, is often also speaking to the sense of depression as a type of interruption of your present state, that you are allowing yourself to be disrupted from connections that don't serve you in order to build connection first to yourself and then true authentic connection to the world. This is how you transform your own situation and how you transform the lives of others. And so we know this does not necessarily address the loneliness in you are feeling in this moment, but realize that there is connection always present there for you, not only with your guides, but there are actually other people who have seen and registered you as a loving person, who actually see you as someone who belongs to this world, even when you don't feel like it. And you can perhaps feel assured that this is a sensation that you have been a part of, that you have been the recipient of, and that you can cultivate in your life. So connection will be right there when you finish up with your loneliness. So ask yourself, what is it this loneliness is trying to teach me? What is it this isolation is making very clear and very vivid in my life? And maybe it is the longing for authentic connection. And then that is something to explore. And the best way to do this pragmatically, we can say, is to, well, enter into something that you authentically enjoy doing with other people. An example is this gathering, for instance, but there are many other ways where you can find like-minded souls to enjoy your hobbies, fancies, and excitements and share them. This,
Beautiful.
yes, thank you.
And I have one last question. The Pleiadian star mothers who assisted in the seeding of our Earth, I'm wondering if they have any message about how the shifting of our DNA in this current time and how we may work more fully with this shift for all of us.
Yes, this is a very helpful question. And I am a subordinate of these mothers. That is, you are in a sense asking me to transmit a message from my bosses. That is the Pleiadian High Command that I represent here. They are indeed this conglomeration of seed mothers. We are the ones who regulate the seed agenda and tend to its upkeep and try to direct it. And so what they are telling you around this DNA activation is that a third helix will actually be added on, but that will be within, let's say, approximately 6 generations from now. What you can do in this moment is to actually accept that as more things come online within the current double helix structure, that is, as more of these areas that have been dormant begin to enter into the active energy system, there is a certain upset in this. And this upset, it needs to be channeled. That is, it can be returned to the earth. It can be returned through a stargate or a portal, through the stars, or it can actually also be channeled into other people as healing energy. But it does need some kind of outlet. So you may sense that within this time of, let's say, also separation or being disruptions being brought into yourself, there is also the need to find places to transmit this energy, because the energy that's awakened within you, and let's say the maturity that you are experiencing to stick in that image, is much akin also to, well, what you may find in your adolescence, for instance. And here you know that it's often quite a healthy hallmark of an adolescent, that they are quite active in pursuing things that they are interested in, or things that they want to do in this lifetime, even though some of them may seem a little foolish to their elders and their parents. This is a very helpful way of going about it, really knowing that, well, there are projects, there are things now that you are also shedding this sense of, we can say, despondency, sense of being oppressed. You are moving into also the discovery of excitements that will keep you occupied and not longing to go home for the next very long time. We hope this allows for some excitement in also exploring these energies as they stir you.
My deepest love and gratitude. Thank you.
And so, yes, dear Laura.
There's just one more from a regular attendance person. Is that okay?
Yes, that is certainly okay.
Sophia Zhu asks, is there a message from the Pleiadian Stargate for me? Much love.
Yes, we are happy that this message or this question also popped in, because the message from the Pleiadian Stargate, well, we can direct it to you personally, in that it is saying to, well, remember the Queen of the Heavens as you go forward in dancing with the sons of the earth. And this is an encouragement to, let's say, tread lightly, or almost stay a little floating above ground. And this is, well, what we would also like to transmit to you, that you are all being, what you may actually discover if you were able to measure this comparatively. That is, if your instruments weren't also influenced by the changing vibrations, you would be able to discern that you had actually grown a little lighter, a little less dense as a species. And this means, again, also that you may feel that this grounding, it's almost a cliche that you could turn into a mantra, that this is an energy that's very important to you, because you are sort of floating a little above the ground.
My deepest gratitude to yourselves and to Mads and our love. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, the love that has been expressed here is, let's say, one of the most wonderful hallmarks of humanity, that you are able to cultivate this emotion, hold it in your hearts. This is something that you have undertaken as soulful creators of a species experience. That is, there are emotions that are unique to you in the human experience that we are learning to cherish and expand upon, even though we also have the deep vibration of love resonating within our collective. It has a certain wonderful human flavor that we appreciate receiving very much. And so with this transferal or activation that we will present to you, a tonal type of awakening code, we will then part ways for now with a blessing. Where is this place you are now? Is this not home? Is this not the domicile, the residence, the place of security and rest that you chose for yourself? There is still peace to be had on your planet. There is still rest to be enjoyed, even in strong and intense moments. Even when you forget yourself, remember that you are forgetting, and all this will flow into the purpose of you, the being in being, the love within love, that is the individual existing in the all. Therefore, blessings, guidance, and love I transmit again from the Pleiadian High Command. You can contact us whenever. We are quite straightforward. Send us a communique either by voicing it or sending a prayer out in your inner world. We are there. We will answer. We will connect in gratitude with love. We transmit our blessings. Peace. That was a fun session. I loved it a lot, guys. I'm again a little run over by the channeling, but it's just so exciting doing this and exploring it with you all. And thank you so much to all of you for the beautiful questions, and Laura, I'm just so happy to see you here, because I got a little worried for a while. So thank you both to you and also to Salish for guiding us safely through this, and I hope everyone is all right. And I actually I haven't planned it, but doing another one next Sunday. I suppose I think it will be a deity, and I hope to see you there. So much love, guys.
Thanks so much, Mads. My apologies for the disruption.
Oh, no worries, none whatsoever, Laura. Just glad you made it. So see you Sunday, guys.